Ladies and gentlemen from Puyallup, Chris Egan is with us, his weekly visit. He's up a little early for us. I asked him to jump on at 10:30. He prefers to be 10:30. He's more of a 10:30 guy than he is an 11 guy. It's all brought to you by Fatzach's Pizza, 3 locations in Sumner, Puyallup, and South Hill, home of the original No Big Dill Pickle Pizza. Book one of their 3 food trucks for catering, birthday parties, graduations, and corporate events. Find Fatzach's Pizza on Facebook, Instagram, and at fatzachspizza.com. Hey, can I ask you something? A quick question about gardening. Speaking of pickles, I did something the first time this year. We had a bunch of cucumbers I grew out in the garden, and I pickled them and canned them. Now, you got to wait like 30 days, right? 30 or 45 days before I think you crack into them. And I know that if I push down on the seal, which one is it? If it pushes down, it's bad. I can't remember now. Anyways, I'm leery to open them up and to see if they're okay. But I think I'm going to do it today.
Yeah, Puck, I would give it a try. I would refer to Barb Egan, who's a master canner for this question. So maybe we can have Barb join us for one of the shows. I'm not a big canner. I love the garden. I'm going to wrap up my, anybody out there right now, bulbs are on sale 50% off at most stores right now. The ground is not froze yet, so get some bulbs, get those in right now. You're gonna thank me when springtime comes around and the tulips and the daffodils are just taking over and your yard looks awesome. You do the hard work now, it's gonna pay off springtime, and your wife is gonna love you for it.
I'm gonna go. I think when I'm done here, I'm gonna go open up one of the cans and see if it works.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the worst thing that happened? I get sick.
Yeah, well, yeah. I would just let the wife know. Hey, I'm gonna try some pickles. So if something goes wrong. And she takes you to the hospital. At least they know that's what they're dealing with. What
if I ask her, why don't you try my pickle?
Well, I think that's a good way to start off the day or the evening. I'm excited for your. I didn't know you were a canner. I'm excited about that. I loved your talk.
First time I did it. First time.
Yeah. Well done. I loved your talk about Lamar Jackson.
I love Lamar.
I have 2 fantasy teams, Puck. One, the Big Gooey Ducks. One called the Puyallup Hot Scones. Both teams right now are in first place. The Big Gooey Ducks, I've got Lamar, I've got Henry, and I've got Zay Flowers on that team. The Puyallup Hot Scones from the King 5 League, also in first place. That one's a little tougher with my quarterback situation. I've got Murray, who could put 30 on the board, or he can put 4 points on the board for you. But I'm loaded up with wide receivers there. It's a good year right now, knock on wood, both fantasy teams in first place. That doesn't happen.
No one cares about your fantasy team.
Oh, I think a lot of people do. Do
you find yourselves, though, like rooting for like these stories now? Like I want him to win. Like I want Lamar Jackson to get through like this playoff barrier he's been in his career and win a championship. Like I like these kind of stories.
I do too. I kind of am on that AFC side. Find myself rooting. It's kind of the same story for Buffalo and Josh Allen, and then Lamar Jackson. I think it's just like, gosh, it would be nice to see him make it in there. We've watched this guy and we've watched him very close and hasn't got there. But I think this year's team, Baltimore has. I mean, the ingredient. That's why they went for 2 in that game last night, because Baltimore gets the ball back 38 seconds, with that offense, that's not a problem to get down the field and get a field goal there. But I love this team with Derrick Henry and Lamar and Zay and the rest of the gang. I mean, they're going to be a tough out this year, and could be the year. Could be the year for Lamar Jackson. You may be right.
Could it be the year for the Seahawks? Are we done? Are we done already? I mean, the Seahawks are done, right? Can we say that? Well, I guess we can't really say it yet, but it feels done, doesn't it?
It just hasn't felt good. It just hasn't.
It has not felt good, man.
It's just. I mean, and I go back. Everybody's talking about these last 2 games, Puck. Just how miserable both of them have been. But I go back even further. I go to that Giants game, and I think that should have been like the point where everybody's like. Because you were dealing with a team that was using backups, and we could not beat that Giants team with their backup running back. So it's just like, at that point, I know it was very early for anybody to hit the panic button, but I think if you would have went back, we should have hit the panic button. And then the big question mark, everybody's talking about the quarterback, change the quarterback. Here's the deal.
No
Puck.
one's talking about changing a quarterback other than Jim Moore because he wants to win $250, for God's sakes.
Well, Jim Moore's, the main backer of this initiative. That's not on a ballot right now.
It is an initiative that he wants to put on a ballot.
But here it is. I just go to basic. Go watch a junior high football game. What are the teams that do well? Are the teams where the quarterback has more than 3 seconds to step back and throw a ball. They literally are. I've seen some of the greatest athletic high school quarterbacks and junior high quarterbacks just look awful because they have no offensive line. And I think we're seeing that right now. Obviously, Geno made that second interception was just, I'm still cringing about that one. But, he does not have a lot of time back there, Puck, and that's why they can't run the ball. It's not because
it's the answer, but it's the. I mean, I know we're going to get into some junior high football here in a little bit, but it's the thing at any level of football. I mean, it's just not. It's not hard to when you start looking at teams and why do they struggle and or why they're good. I mean, football's not complicated. I say this all the time. We overcomplicate sports so much. God, we do. And for football, it's the all 22 guys, and it's, in baseball, it's the analytics. It's just not that. And whatever the equivalent in soccer, whatever that is, it's not that hard. Well, breaking down like all 22. I just want something. Is the offensive line good? Okay, if it is, then the offense is going to be good. Yeah, because the offensive line lets everything else happen.
And there's your transition, Puck, for me, is the high school playoffs begin tonight. The high school playoffs begin tonight. You and I have been just a big fan of high school football for a long time. And the best team in the state of Washington is the Bellevue Wolverines. They have one.
And why?
And they have one lineman, Puck, that's going to the University of Oregon, one that's going to USC. The other three are big. They got, do they have Warren Moon's kid as a running back? Do they have other kids? Yes, they have like 5 or 6 running backs that score touchdowns. But, heck, I hate to say this, I could have probably got handed off the ball the other night they were playing and probably had a nice 20-yard gain. I mean, these guys, you get behind an O-line, and it moves the chains. And that's It's just so simple, but yet we sit there and maybe we got to get Geno out of there. He can't do what? Why is DK not running his routes better? It starts with the line.
What's wrong with Ryan Grubb? I mean, my God. I mean, it's is Ryan Grubb not calling a good enough plays? No, it's because the line stinks. That's why. Yeah. It just does. I couldn't believe. I tuned in as we get ready for the championship games coming up. I tuned into a Bellevue game and watched some highlights of a game a few weeks ago. I could not believe how big that offensive line was. It's massive. Huge. Yeah. And it's not your dad's Bellevue Wolverines anymore. Where they ran and the reason and any team runs the wing tee is because you're undersized. You're an undersized kids, so you run the wing tee because there's confusion, trickeration with it. You don't know where the ball is, but you have small, quick offensive linemen. That's how it originally started. If you go back and look at Butch Gontraff's first, Bellevue teams, none of those guys were big. And then was it Schilling? Steve Schilling comes around. He's the first big one. These guys now, they are massive. I mean, massive individuals, and they're fast and they're running all over the place, and they're athletic. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to watch.
It's simple football 101. I mean, get an offensive line and move it down the field, and that's exactly what they do. I think when you get to the NFL, you see some teams where it's pretty even, but it's not even right now for the Seattle Seahawks. Puck, we know that the offensive line is not good. And Puck, I don't want to put you on the spot, but when was the last time we had a Pro Bowl? All-pro offensive lineman on the Seahawks team. I'm drawing a blank.
Dwayne Brown. Yeah. Dwayne Brown was the last one. Dwayne Brown was the last one. I just did this, and then the last one. Dwayne Brown was the last one in 2021 or 2020 or 2020, and that was a trade though. The last one he drafted was Russell Okung in 2013. I mean, it's just, that's part of the reason. I've discussed this a lot, and I like John Schneider. I mean, I want John Schneider to continue to be the GM, and he's a good guy, and he's done a lot of great things. But I mean, my God, I mean, the inability to build this offensive line for a decade is the reason why we're stuck here. And Chris, I don't know where they go from here. Like, this team is not that far off. They compete every week. Yeah. They really are a few plays away from, okay, what are they, 4-5? I mean, I close my eyes and say they could be 6-3. Well, if a few more things go right for them. But then I would say this, like, how close are they to winning a championship? Because it's all about winning a championship, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So how close are they to that? They don't have the quarterback of the future. He's 35 years old. And I like Geno, but how much money are you going to spend on him in the offseason? And then you got DK Metcalf's going to go into the final year of his contract. He's going to want $140 million. But yet you get those guys, you're going to spend money on that in a league that has a cap. And then you're going to be like, we still haven't fixed the offensive line. So it's great you have the quarterback for another year or two and a wide receiver at 28 that's locked up for $140 million. But if you've got no one to actually block, they're going to have the same problems.
And it's interesting. Yes, it is all about the championship. And when you're talking about that, I just get more and more frustrated because Seahawks, Mariners, similar yet different. And I'm talking about this seasons, because we looked at, the Mariners season is over, but this was the year, they should have won their division because Houston was down. They had the 10-game lead. And then you look at this Mariners team. Why did we get frustrated? Because a lot of us believe with that pitching staff, if they did get in the playoffs, they could have made a run for the championship. Now the frustration with the Seahawks is this is the year to win the division. 49ers were missing McCaffrey for a little while. I mean, it was like the Arizona Cardinals, really, they're the first place team. I mean, the division is down. But to your point is, I agree with you. I'm like, this team could win the NFC West, but what happens when they get in the playoffs with that offensive line? You just can't fix that overnight. You're not going to add it. I mean, it's just
okay. So Divish asked a great this week's show. Divish asked me a great question, and somebody says on our chat that our former station has ripped off the question. But hey, that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Hey, you know what is it? Copy is flattery. If people,
it's fine. Imitation is flattery. That's okay. That's okay. Thanks for Joe for pointing that out. So Divish asked me a great question on the show this week. What Seattle professional team is closest to winning a championship? And so these were the teams, though. Seahawks, Mariners, Kraken, and then the Husky football team. Because
so he took the Sounders out because Spencer has them rolling right now.
We took the Sounders and the Storm out.
Okay.
How would you answer that?
I honestly, Puck, would answer that right now and say the Mariners.
That's what we said.
Would. I really would, because of that. You still have to this date. You still have, in my mind, a very good pitching staff that I would love to see in a postseason. I would love to see a manager work those 5 pitchers, and get Brash back, get Munoz back. Obviously, you've got to score runs to win and get into the playoffs, but in my mind, I think the Mariners are still the closest. And it's funny. It's a great question. And for how much we have bashed and people have bashed the Mariners, I agree with Divish on this.
I know. That's what, right when he asked me the question, and he was leading me up to it, I was like, the Mariners. And he's like, I know. It's unbelievable to think about it, that it's actually them. And we're all of us are right because, and I don't know, like, what the commentary is on the other teams that they are the ones that are actually the closest. But what you just said there is what Divish and I said. None of these other teams can claim to have the best something in the sport. They've got the best pitching, the best starting staff in baseball. They do. They're
arguably, Puck, one of the best catchers in baseball. Arguably one of the best catchers.
The best catcher in baseball.
Yeah.
Let's actually take it a step further. They have the best pitching staff in baseball and the best catcher in baseball. What the Seahawks have. They don't have anything the best of. Nothing. Right?
I mean, you got the best up and coming young receiver in Jackson Smith and Jigba, but I mean, I'm making up categories now, but
what do the Kraken have? The best what?
I'm getting to know this team a little bit better every week. I mean,
get Furness to give you an update on it. Who do they got? They got. You know what? I know what the Kraken have. I know what they have. They've got the best studio host in all of the NHL.
Ian Furness, yes.
No,
I believe
Linda Cohn
will be on King 5 TV tonight.
Linda Cohn's better than Ian. Everybody knows that. No, they got Ian. Ian's the best.
The first time, by the way, Puck, a shout out to Ian. I was in the Kraken locker room yesterday, and I was doing a couple of interviews, and they said, "Hey, you want to talk to this guy?" And the guy was in charge of the skates. He goes, "I exclusively only talk to Ian Furness," and I'm like, "I'm going to let Ian have this exclusive then with you." Yeah. So hey,
so the Kraken have that. So we'll give them that. They got the best studio host in Ian Furness. All right. So then the Husky the Huskies they're not the best at anything. They're the best at telling you about, past championships probably.
Yeah. And they travel a lot right now. They're traveling.
They're a
lot of travel miles.
They got the best coach with a visor.
You know what? I can't stand these travel stories. I'm sorry, Puck. You know what? It's not like they're sitting in the middle seat and they're waiting through security lines and they're panicked. They got their 2 and 3 year olds, left and right of them. It's like we make these travel stories. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They travel in luxury, most of these teams.
Wait, so you don't like for the Husky football team, you don't think it's a big deal?
I think people overdo this, honestly. I really do. I don't know.
Are they all sitting in are these big football players all sitting in the same row together though? I mean, that's kind of would be miserable.
Well, I guess I haven't traveled with the UW football team, so maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. But I have traveled with youth sports teams, and you know what? We got in the pool, had Applebee's for dinner, and we played just fine. So I think we, I think we're overdoing
Applebee's.
It a little. I mean, Puck. To be fair, there's like over 1,000 kids driving to Pasco as we speak right now for the state cross country championships. They're going to be staying in like Holiday Inns with like 8 people in one room. They're going to be waking up, having, the free, hotel breakfast. So they'll be fighting over waffle scraps and, just eggs that really aren't eggs and bacon that's been cooked since 3 a.m. And you know what? They're going to go out and they're going to compete and run a cross-country state championship, and they're not going to whine. They're actually going to go out there and they're going to do pretty good. So, shout out to the cross-country kids. Yeah.
Is there a line? Is there a wait time longer than the hotel waffle bar maker line?
Not during a state championship, no. In fact. I have a new
so
thing
long that you go to the little fridge to get the Yoplait yogurt. That's why it's so damn long.
I have a new travel policy with my wife. When she does she jogs on, we can get this hotel. This is the cheapest. I said, cross it off because that's where all the teams are going to be. Find me something $10 more somewhere else. I mean, not only you got to deal with the wait line at the waffle bar. They usually only have 2 elevators, and you got the junior high kids hitting every single button, and it's just like, come on. So
it's anarchy. Those trips, man. Those youth sports trips. Wherever you go, like if you go out of state or you stay in state, like when all those kids are staying at one hotel, I mean, it is like Lord of the Flies. And, I feel bad for the people that work there. Because they're just like, my God, what the F? I mean, kids are running around at night and they're knocking on people's doors. The older kids are staying up late, like in the lobby, and they're screwing around, jumping in the pool and making out and all, just everything. I mean, parents are outside by the pool. I mean, shit faced. I mean, it's just. It's spring. It's like a family spring break. These youth trips, man. Jesus, you got couple swapping. I mean, well, maybe not.
What's going on?
I mean, really.
Oh man, it is
all the deliveries, all the food deliveries, and they're screwing it up. I've got 15 pizzas for a John. 15 pizzas for a John.
And then you have the parents, and I'm dealing with it already. We just started basketball season. I got soccer season going on that apparently believe I'm a full-time basketball, like I'm being paid $100,000 to coach this basketball team because you got Coach Chris, the uniforms aren't in. Why aren't they in? They're not in. That's I already had to pull the line in second practice this week. It's the first week of basketball. Second practice, it was too early for me, but I did the old line, Puck. You ready for this one? We're all copping a little attitude here, guys. Let me just go ahead and get my checkbook out and let you know that I'm willing to pay the price it costs you to be on this team, and I'll give the check to you, and you hand it to your parents, and you're done.
Jesus, are these seventh graders? Eighth graders?
No, they're eighth graders now. Just had a couple kids. I told them on Monday, bring the reversible jersey, Puck. I said it 3 times. 3 kids didn't bring the reversible jersey to the second practice. You kind of need that when you're doing basketball. You got 2 teams, and they're over there like, and I'm like.
So this is the middle school team?
Yeah, I told the assistant coaches, please just back off for a second. Coach Chris is gonna take over here.
So did they not have coaches, or did you want to do this?
This is going to be kind of my last year. It's a fine line. They don't have coaches, and this is my, I think, 23rd year of doing it. So I'm like, you know what?
23rd year of coaching middle school basketball?
Not middle school basketball.
Okay.
23rd year of coaching youth sports. So yeah. I think this is probably the last because my son's an 8th grader. And so he'll be going into the 9th grade next year, and so that's high school takes over.
And you don't want to be coaching you don't want to be the guy that's coaching some other kids that aren't yours. That starts to get a little weird and might be a little creepy. I bring this up because I'm getting a bunch of parents because our middle school doesn't have any coaches for basketball.
Oh, okay.
And I'm getting this from every parent. Hey, Jason, have you seen that they're looking for coaches? And, what about you? I mean, would you like to coach? Like, I'm getting it all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably do it, but I don't want to coach like the varsity team or the JV. I want to coach like the JVC team, because like all the 6th graders, because my son's a 6th grader.
Yeah.
I'll coach that team. But I don't want to coach the other teams. But I want somebody else to step up to do it, because what I don't want is which is just remarkable to me. I thought the teachers were the ones that were supposed to coach these kids, but okay. But it's remarkable because what I don't want is to these kids, let's say there's 30 or 40 of these kids, to not be able to play basketball this winter, because they don't have any coaches.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do it, but it's like, come on, really? Like, has this always been a problem? Like, because when I was a kid,
it's getting worse. Puck, what's happening is it's getting worse because nobody wants to deal with parents anymore, and this is happening with officials. And I know this kind of seems like a broken record here, but it is happening. And the thing I just don't put up with anything. So, I mean, it's worked for me, but this is going to be my last year. This is why
it's your last year.
I make it pretty, like you don't need to be at practice. You won't be at practice when they're in high school, so you don't need to be here crocheting during practice.
That's been a rule 1 since Little League for me. Like, hey, you don't need to be here. Like, it's
not good for your kids' development to have mom and dad staring at them and coaching from the sideline. So there's some rules I have, and I love it. I think I've got better through the years, and it's going to be sad when it's over. So I'm just enjoying every moment of it. And
but is it a thing like at your middle school, right? Like where you guys are in Puyallup?
We're lucky. We have some incredible coaches in our middle school, and so all the teachers coach in the middle school. In fact, speaking of that, Puck, it was probably the scariest moment of my parenthood. Just happened 2 days ago. The Blue Bruins, the junior high team, which has some great coaches, head coach Cook, and then our offensive coordinator is a young man by the name of Darren Erath, who was
quarterback,
2-time, played in the King Bowl twice, was one of the best quarterbacks in Western Washington University history. He's the offensive coordinator. And my kid is not the biggest kid. He plays on defense and sporadically on offense. He's the backup quarterback. And they're in a tight game. They're 5-0. They need to win to get the junior high championship, and it's a tight game at halftime. And apparently, Coach Erath draws up some play. We got a good little quarterback where my son takes off down the right side, and they're just hoping that he's going to be open because they're not expecting him to be there. And sure enough, quarterback drops back, pump fakes, throws deep. Luke Egan hauls it in, 70-yard pickup on the play. The place is going wild. Like his grandma and grandpa are cheering. My wife's going crazy. I hear people looking at me like, hey, Big Mac, big catch. And then the moment, Puck, that is just like everybody's celebrating. And all of a sudden you just see a pile and you see little number 4, probably the smallest guy on the field. He got taken out by a couple of big guys.
Yeah.
Legal tackles, but he's just laying flat on the ground.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and I see my wife like, go. And it's just like, it's that moment where I hadn't experienced that with the other two. And I'm kind of not running, but I'm going to him and everything's in slow motion and you're just watching him and there's no movement. What happened was the ball was underneath his chest when the kid landed on him. He lost, he
got the wind knocked out of him.
Got the wind knocked out of him, was freaked out. The best thing is the head coach got all the way over there, I found out. And then he realized what happened. and he stayed on the ground. And the coach goes, did you get the wind knocked out of you, Luke? He goes, yeah. He goes, just stay here for 5 more seconds because I just ran all the way over here. So don't get up quite yet.
It's scary. It's because for Luke, is that his first year of football?
He played last year. So, he's when you get to junior high, the big kids do well. He's not a huge kid. My hope is he gives it all up for pickleball and just plays pickleball. But he loves basketball, soccer, football. Football's
a great sport, man.
It's incredible team sport. It's
the best.
I love it when he says, Dad, can I, take the bus home? And I'm like, yeah, take the bus home. Yeah, you want to ride home with your team and all that.
It's the best team sport that we have. I mean, listen, I know they're all great. I mean, every one of them is a great team sport. Because you do all have to work together at some point, in every team sport. That one more than any of them. And I always tell my kid, I always tell Owen that, listen, so he played last year, so 5th, 6th grade. So last year was his first year at 10. I go, dude, if you can get through a football practice and stay with it all year, you will any other practice you ever do, whether it's basketball or baseball, those are the other sports he plays, will be the easiest thing in the world. Because there is nothing like you start practice in August and it's, 85, 90 degrees outside. You're running around in those damn pads. You're exhausted. And then you end the season, in 40-degree rain and mud. It's miserable. And I said, if you can just get through those 2-hour practices, once we start basketball or baseball, because you know what? Baseball practice is fun. Honestly, it's the
you gotta hit ball, throw ball, hit ball.
You hit the ball. We're playing Iron Man at the end of practice. I mean, everyone's goofing off. Everyone's scratching their balls and spitting. I mean, it's just fun. And basketball for the most part is, it can be tiring, but what do you do for basketball practice most of the time? You scrimmage.
Yeah, you do.
Well, that's fun.
I know it is fun. I saw our practice last night, and I'm like, well, why is anybody copping an attitude? This is fun. We're scrimmaging.
Yeah.
It could be home working.
So it's just, but it's scary. When at first time, you see your kid, get laid out. I've seen it. I've seen it happen to one of our kids, not my kid. I mean, Owen was getting, knocked around a lot too this year, but we had a kid that, it was a real scary incident, and he had gotten blocked in the shoulder pads. The chest plate had gone all the way up into his throat. Okay. And the way he was being driven back. So when he went down on the ground, he couldn't breathe. Okay. And so we're running over there. Our coach is running over there and he's panicking because the kid cannot catch his breath. And then his eyes are kind of going back in his head. And it was and we had to, and thank God the other team we were playing had a, medical personnel there. So they come running over and man, this is when Like, it gets real. You're like, because you don't know what's going on. You know if he's having some type of episode. All sports are dangerous. Football does inherently have some danger to it. And then he gets over there, and the doctor immediately just goes, okay, what happened? Gets the, he goes, he asks the kid, can you cough? And he coughs. He goes, okay, you're fine. He goes, you got your esophagus just kind of trampled on, and you're going to be okay. But like for like a minute or two, yeah, man,
you're freaking out. You're
freaking out. I mean, not only as coaches, right? Because it's not my kid, but they're all kind of your kids, right? When you're coaching them, and then the parents are running over, and But it's football is. I know it's not for everyone, and I.
But
get
you're
it.
right, Puck. It is the ultimate team sport. I would also say, in the U.S., it is the ultimate community involvement sport.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'll see tonight. Let's begin in the 4A. I think the favorite to win in the 4A would be Camas, and Sumner not too far behind them. It's pretty wide open in the 4A, but take these two schools and go to Camas and Sumner on a Friday night. Place is absolutely packed at both of these places. I mean, the environment, Camas. You're going to go win at Camas. You better be very, 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 very good, because
I was there last year for a game watching Skyview, the old Skyview Storm play there. Yeah.
So I mean, these in the 4A ranks. Those are the two to beat. In 3A, you're kind of dealing with a couple of the privates, O'Day and Eastside Catholic, who've just built a pretty good tradition. But in my mind, Bellevue is the team to beat. But one of the two of the teams in that 3A, Monroe and Enumclaw, just incredible home community environments that they both have, and that's why I love this game, because nobody cares about your religion, your politics, and all that. It brings the community together, and that's why I think it's very important, and I think it's an ultimate team sport. Like you said, football's not for everybody. The bigger kids succeed. 2A ranks, Puck. I think Tumwater is bound for another state championship. It's funny watching NFL.
Same thing when I was 8 years old. It's always Tumwater.
I mean, there's the tradition, the T-Bird tradition that just keeps on rolling.
Unbelievable.
You see these kids in the NFL, the Otten boys, and what they're doing.
You know what? Can I stop you there? When I'm watching the other day, and they're talking, all this stuff about Kate Otten, and I'm just like, God, you know what? And not like they would research this, but Kate Otten's a good football player, all right?
Yeah.
I mean, a really good tight end. It would have been cool if someone on that ESPN broadcast would have dug a little deeper on it, if someone would have fed him, like, you should do a story, like, on the royalty that is his family back in Washington. Yeah. Because it's absolutely high school football royalty. Like, that Otten name, when you hear that, you're like, oh, an Otten. It's like probably a Tuiasosopo, but that Otten name, especially down there, is just, I mean, it's everything.
His dad, his grandpa, arguably the greatest coach in high school history. I think they're in the running. Don't count out, Linden and Archbishop Murphy, and I also do not count out the defending state champs. We're talking about small towns and community coming together. Anacortes won the championship last year. They'll be back. And Puck, we love to go into the small schools because I know you love the names. I think when you're talking 1A, it's the gateway to the Palouse. You've got to go through Royal to get to Washington State University. I think Royal is definitely the team to beat. In the 2B, Asotin, am I saying that correctly, Puck? Asotin?
I think so. But I know you're talking Asotin. Yes, I think you're correct.
Asotin, and this could be the year Toledo. This could be the year
I don't know if it's Toledo's year. I don't know. Could be.
And I know in the 1B, everybody knows the schools Liberty Christian and Nia Bay. But, Puck, nobody enjoys a 3-school name more than you. So watch out. Watch out. In the 1B, this could be the year for Wilbur Creston Keller to bring home the state title. Not to one town, but to 3.
And I go by there, and I'll be going by there tomorrow off Highway 26.
Why did they not call Wilbur Creston Keller the Tri-Cities? Why did Pasco?
I love going to those I love going and watch like Nia Bay play. I love that. Guy, they're the best. They still play 8-man. It's still 8-man, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I love 8-man football. I used to when I was in college. I was the voice of the Moscow Bears, by the way. They were not 8-man football. But then when the playoffs came around that area, we would do 8-man football from some of those smaller towns, and it was just if no one has ever seen 8-man football, it is sensational how much fun it is.
I did a story when I was at KOBI TV in Medford, Oregon, and I think this was probably 1998 on a 8-man football team. It was Powers High School, somewhere in the center of Oregon. I think it's somewhere near Eugene. I can't even remember. But the kids is a fundraiser. It was a logging community, so the kids would go out and help their dads log to raise money for the football program.
I bet they weren't strong at all.
No, they won a few state titles.
Oh, I'm going to give you if you ever can find your way down there, and I don't know if they still do this. One of the coolest things when I was working on the coast out of Astoria, we would call games in Napa, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
And Napa, Oregon. Napa has got this it's a logging community right on the coast, small, blue collar. But they've got this incredible basketball history, both boys and girls. And they're always constantly, every year, I don't know where they have the state championship anymore. Back in the day, it was in Pendleton. And they will always be in it. And so I would call a few games. Chris, I'm telling you, you love this stuff. It's the best high school stadium or high school a gym.
Is that spelled KNAPPA?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
KNAPPA. They've got the old. Remember maybe Auburn High School still has it. Remember Auburn High School? They had the balcony wraparound.
Yes, they do not now, but I do remember that.
So Napa has that, or did have it. So you would call the game from up like in a treehouse almost.
Oh,
and the best part about, and the place is packed. The whole town comes there. It's all these blue-collar loggers. You're like, they don't even look like basketball fans, right? And then the gym, their locker room, it is under the floor. So when they come out, it's like a storm, like a storm area. What am I like a basement? So when they come out, the door opens off the baseline, and they're coming up from underneath.
Underneath wow.
It's unbelievable. It's the coolest thing in the world.
That's almost like Hoosiers when they were tucked underneath in one of the gyms they were at.
Just great. Yeah.
By the way, Hoosiers brings me to my next part of the segment, Puck. I know we're going long today, but I need your help because the wife, Puck, and there's Hoosiers right there.
Greatest
one
movie
of the
ever.
Greatest movies of all time. You can't forget, Braveheart there.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Remember the Titans.
Yes. Great.
Can't go wrong with Sandlot.
Classic.
And then, one of my favorites, Bueller's Day Off. And why I'm showing you these, Puck, is the wife says it's time to clean up the house a little bit.
Time to get rid of them.
And she's like, you've got a lot of these DVDs and you've got a lot of CDs out in the garage. Well, my first thing is, why do you care what's in the garage? That's my area back there in that corner of the garage. Well, you don't play them. I don't know why we have them. Same thing with these. You're not playing them. Why do we have them? Why am I having so much troubles, Puck, getting rid of these? I just don't want to let them go. I don't want to let them go. Don't let them.
Then don't let them go.
But why am I having troubles?
Because it's nostalgia. That's why.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to. You want to have something. It's why I read a newspaper every day too. I like having touching the physical newspaper. That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Opening it up, looking at the scores. Yeah.
I love it. It's part of the cool thing about it. And I think for you, it's cool to have that physical DVD. Right?
Wonderful sports movie, Hoosiers Works Magic by Roger Ebert.
Oh.
2 thumbs up. Oh, when life was easy. We could just go to
was easy, wasn't it?
Go to Blockbuster and pick out a movie and come home, get a little popcorn, a little Boston Market. If you're really
my God. Did you say Boston Market? Is there still a Boston Market anywhere?
No, they're gone, Buck. They're gone.
I think they got rid of that.
Yeah, they did. I love my kid. We have the big game, and I said, "Where do you want to go to dinner?" He's like, "How about a little pho, Dad?" And I'm like, "Can't we? We're going to have soup."
I love pho. Did you say pho? It's called pho.
Pho. Okay.
God almighty. You sound more like you're from Puyallup, and you say, let's go have some pho.
We had some meatball pho the other night.
Yeah, I don't get the meatball one. I always get the chicken one.
Yeah, Luke went chicken. I went meatball. The wife went tofu.
Of course she did. Of course she did. Yeah. Man, why did she do that? Hey, I want to play you something. You're going to get a kick out of this. So, before you go, Coastal ESPN every Thursday goes to like a campus of where they're going to do their Thursday night football game. So yesterday was Coastal Carolina, right? And so it's like game day, but on Thursday, right? And so they went there and they brought on the Coastal Carolina coach for a segment, and his name is Tim Beck. Look at this guy get after it, this Tim Beck. Look at this guy. There he is in the middle with the jacket, with the greenish jacket. So they're about to pound some beers, right?
Okay.
Why not?
I probably can't do this on the high school big game.
No. Watch this guy, though.
I can hear the boss's mouth. You know,
watch how quickly he gets this beer down. Watch him.
Go.
Oh, wow.
Look at him. Now wait for it. Now wait for it. He throws it out. He just cranks it. He just cranks it on his head. That's awesome.
That's why, Puck, I don't go out with the youngins at work anymore, because that's me. Because they start chanting and they're like,
well, you're a little Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank. Next thing you know, you're streaking through Seattle. And then you realize you're just at a Ballard bike race. And you're fine. Don't they have one every year?
Yes, that Ballard bike race is phenomenal, man. It is a phenomenal shit show, that bike race, man. These guys are the best part about that bike race. These guys are whizzing in and out of these small, tiny streets, Chris. All right. And I'm telling you, people are so drunk they're walking in the street. I'm like, dude, you're gonna get hit. What are you guys doing?
Oh man!
There's nothing better than that bike race, and then the Santa de Mai parade. That thing gets a little loose. That gets a little loose at night. Yeah.
You Ballard folks.
Well, we Ballard folks, we like to. Once you cross over, man, once you cross over that bridge, Chris, there's no going back. You're home.
Once you make it over the Ballard locks. You're home.
Oh, yeah. Ballard locks. Once the bridge, you're done. Like no one ever wants to leave. All right, we've kept you for too long. So where are you out anywhere tonight?
I'm gonna go watch Hoosiers for a couple hours. Then I'm gonna get ready for the big game. And Puck, tonight the big game finally returns to the Heartland, Carl Sparks Stadium in downtown. It has been 2.5 years, Puck. Since I've had the easy commute to Spark Stadium tonight. Actually going to be a good little playoff game. Emerald Ridge, home of the Jags. Former players include Jake Skockle, who's now at Eastern Washington, Denzel Boston, who plays for the University of Washington. Skockle plays for Eastern. They're going to be taking on the Chateau from the Plateau is driving down to Puyallup tonight. The Skyline Spartans, Sparta, is coming into P-Town tonight. So it's gonna be a battle in Puyallup. I'm already getting a lot of texts from my friends up at Skyline. Chris, where do we eat before the game? And I'm like,
Fatzach's Pizza is where you eat.
Well, I may be live there at 5:45. We'll see. Yeah.
That's it, right? That's exactly where you should be. You should be live at Fatzach's Pizza.
Kitty corner. Yep, kitty corner from Spark Stadium.
Well, this year, kind of like the crossover games. Next week is they'll seed the 16 teams next week, right?
They've seeded. These are the 32. Draws 32, so we're underway.
Okay.
So we're underway. So this is 32, drops to 16. So I think last week was more of the crossover stuff. So this week, the tournament is basically you win, you move on, you lose, you're out. I don't know if they reseed. They call this week playoffs. They call next week state playoffs.
Yeah.
It's playoffs. I mean, you
well,
win.
good
you
luck.
move on.
I talked about this yesterday. There was a guy from UNLV who was works in their football program and just and said to and he tweeted something out. I read it yesterday about how, hey, to all the kids that are be playing in their final football games this weekend, like take it in, like savor the walking on the turf, the sound of the cleats on the ground, the smell of it, what your coach says before the game, after the game, because for 90% of these kids,
it's it. Yeah,
this is it. This is the last time they'll ever put on the helmet, and last time they're ever going to sit on a bus after a game. Those are special times, man. I remember what that was like. So do you, and it's awesome. And so for all the kids out there, just take it in.
I'm going to say this, Puck, too. I think that's a great point to the kids, but I'm also going to say this. And I know every parent out there or grandparent is maybe under a different work situation.
Yeah.
But please find a way. Just find a way to get to that game so your kid can look up and see you in the stands. And I know some of you are off traveling. I know these moments are hard. I've been there. I've been in Korea at the Olympics when my daughter's punching her ticket to the state championships in basketball. It is not easy. But if you are around, if you are somewhere in the vicinity, you can take a long dinner break. If you can do something, just find a way to get to these games because you're never going to have those moments again. And like the kids, this is it. So
I agree.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Yep.
Well said. All right, Chris, we'll talk to you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, buddy.
There you go.